Welcome back to the Dossier Project. Like, share, and subscribe. So today's topic is the fourth in our series of friendship. And the topic is, when do friendships end?
I was trying to think about it like from a definitional point of view. Like there are people that I would say, oh, a former friend. Like I would clearly categorize somebody as a former friend or a friend I used to have. So I was trying to figure out like at what point, how do you cross that line? How do you move people in your head from category of friend to former friend, ex-friend, whatever that is. And the best definition I've come up with so far is that I for whatever reason, the person is in a place where myself mentally and emotionally, I do not feel I could reach out to them and connect and get a response back. Or that if I did reach out, that maybe there'd be some kind of antagonistic response in return if it was more like a friend turned enemy. So, I mean, some friendships do go through ebbs and flows where like you aren't really talking and you wouldn't reach out and expect a response right back, but there's like some sort of finality feeling like I can never reach out to that person again, or if I did, it would be antagonistic. And I think that's sort of my working definition of when a friendship ends.
Yeah, this one definitely stumped me. I was like folding laundry and I was like, well, if I think someone is my friend, but they don't think I'm their friend, are we still friends? I was like, I don't know. Because that's definitely happened to me before where I didn't realize that we weren't good until I reached out, like kind of like you were saying, Leah, and my reaching out wasn't welcomed or they didn't get back to me or, and I didn't think there was an issue. So I just thought, okay, they're busy. And then you reach out and then you find out that they're like in your city and live thousands of miles away and didn't tell you. I was like, oh, I guess there's a problem here. So that's been my like one of my experiences. I've had that a few times with people where I just didn't realize that there was something had changed between us, but I considered them my friend. So I feel like some friendships shift gears, and sometimes it happens where both of us have decided either explicitly to each other or not that maybe we just need to put this one to rest. Lots of love there, but not relating in the same way that we used to or would consider a friend anymore. But it feels a little weird or like not right to treat it like they no longer exist, because they existed in my life and had an impact and an influence in my life that doesn't go away. So similar, I think when people pass away, are they gone? Like physically they're gone, but there can still be a relationship there to the memory and who they were or who they are. I don't know. I get more questions on this one, but I think it's I know when there has been finality in relationships with people I have called friends before, it's just very painful, and it's usually when it's so explicit, not very amicable, unfortunately. And I consider my door always open. I don't really like when things end personally, but I like to, it's really always my desire to be in relationship with people that I've had relationships with before. If there's a way that we can work it out that makes sense for both of us.
Honestly, what you said towards the end there, Michelle, is very similar to how I feel. Like actually this, I don't know, third quarter of life, I don't know what we want to call it, but before the last 6 to 8 years, I would have said the way that I do relationships in my head or friendships in my head is that there were a lot of, I don't know, like I would say like soul sisters or soul brothers, people that I just thought were lifers in my life. And I've had very long relationships that lasted years. And it wasn't until still some of the events in my life where things went public, people have said that things about me that I experienced, people that I never thought that would break a friendship would either, just not welcome my calls or break a friendship in some way. And it's interesting. One of those people I still, like, in my own heart, I still feel is, and this was for other reasons too, but I still feel like if he's a lifer in my heart, and that door is always open, and I still feel that way. It's like we're still spiritually journeying through the world together. This is just a detour he needed to take, That's kind of how I feel about it. And so there are people that I feel like I really have that kind of a bond with. There are other people where I felt very close to them and made the decision to not be there for me at like one of the hardest times in my life because of political reasons. And that's a different thing for me. Like, that feels like, wow, like I mean, you were a sister, you lived in my house, we were in a certain way. And then when push came to shove, if it would have put a dark light on your, if it could have weighed on your reputation or something like that, that was more important than our friendship. And those things, it's not like I would totally close the door, but there would definitely need to be like I know that person's limit of friendship. I know how they do friendship now. I know their limit of love and how far they're willing to go for someone they love. And it doesn't mean I won't hold fond memories of them in my heart, but they're not a lifer. They're not like connected to my heart I wouldn't treat them the same way I would treat somebody else who is there through thick and thin, so I don't know. It's a tough, maybe I don't have good definitions for friendship, but for me, it seems like I like to keep the door open, and I always would like to be able to. I do think people change. I have the belief that people change, and I do think that if there are things that happen between someone, or they steal from you, they lie to you, they break a trust, something's broken, that can be fixed. But I do think in order to repair the friendship, those things need to be fixed. And if someone really is wanting and willing to do that, I'm open to repairing that, and I think it could even bring people together stronger. But otherwise, if there's something that's been broken, there is a distance that has to be crossed before it's like a crushed.
I think, well, the first question that comes up when I think about this is, well, when does a friendship end? And I ask myself, well, why did the friendship begin? And what was it based on? And I do think a lot of it, maybe when we're younger, kind of it's based on convenience or proximity. Like high school, you just happen to be in the same neighborhood or grew up in the same school, and then maybe worked the same company, and you had that commonality and also similar lifestyle, similar life stage. You might make mommy friends type of thing. You have that in common, and your kids are friends. So then it's easier to become friends with the parents because your kids are always doing things. And when that can change, right, is also then why friendships can often end as one of them. Another thing I think about in my friendships, because I have friendships since, I don't know, my oldest friend, I just saw her a couple weeks ago. She's like, I think kindergarten, like went to the Jewish Community Center to go swimming, and she's like one of the first friends, like first grade, and she also happened to live in my neighborhood. And we had similar background. Her dad was a eye doctor. My dad was a, OB-GYN. So similar background, similar neighborhood. We grew up, and she's all the way in Arizona right now. But we have different lives and so forth. But when she came here and visited, we definitely made it a point. It wasn't easy to get together. And what's that based on? And it was based on something like really very human, very just really just wanting to spend time and get together and catch up on life, and regardless of judgment or opinion or anything like that, and I think that's where I think friendships can end often, unfortunately, because of difference of opinions, and really because of, say, political views or judgment of other people. We saw a lot of that, unfortunately, divisive families, friends, the whole COVID, and just to vax or not to vax, and just people just, there's no one inherently right, wrong about that. And just, people who just refuse to be friends with people just based on that one issue. Same thing, I think, also with what happened to our community and our friends here. There were a lot of people who just made up kind of decision based on what they thought, based on what they read in the media and so forth, and just made a judgment. And I think, unfortunately, some of them talked to me and then just said, "Are you okay?" And said, "Yeah, I'm okay." And genuine care and concern. It's like, okay, so if you're okay, you're good, I'm good. And and no judgment. And other people, unfortunately, just honestly actually thought I did really bad things. And my response was kind of, and they were like, and they said things, wrote things, did all sorts of crazy things that I never thought whatever happened, and it wasn't based on actually my, it wasn't based on anything I did. It's really what they thought I did, or what they read, they thought I did, based on misrepresentation in their opinions. And honestly, I think a very complicated situation, and just people just made up their minds and decided, and therefore ended the friendship based on really what they thought. And it was very one-sided. I didn't end any friendships because of anything, really. But also similar to what, Danielle was saying, it was in some ways like any experience, even though terrible, hard, wouldn't want to wish that experience on anybody, what went through our community and so forth. It was that one of the benefits was that I really could see who were my true friends, who genuinely cared about me as a person and held no judgments. They were just, through thick and thin, were there for me. And I think that's a blessing. So, well.
I want to leap off just one thing you said there, Linda. Totally resonated, that friendships end maybe because there's a difference of opinion. That doesn't always happen, as you gave an example. Sometimes friendship transcends opinions, beliefs, political affiliations, vaccination status, etc. And I guess it does have to do with what you said at the beginning. What is the friendship based on? And sometimes you don't know what a friendship is based on until it's challenged. I've had friendships that I didn't realize there were conditions on the friendship, that I have certain beliefs or do certain actions or belong to certain groups. And then when I no longer did those things, the friendship was not really welcome anymore. So yeah, it does have to, and that can be the same for me. I might be, I have friends with somebody because we do this thing together, but like, if they're not doing that thing with anymore, I'm not going to reach out and go for coffee, because they're just not, that's not the kind of relationship I feel we have. And I've done that before as well. I felt like people have maybe felt like we were closer than I perceived we were. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. That was a bit awkward. I got like a Christmas gift from somebody once, and I was like, wow, we are not friends to exchange Christmas gifts. Like, that's not the closeness that we are in my mind. It was really awkward for me, but it all ultimately ended well. But yeah, it was a little bit awkward.
Yeah, I think with that, like I think I've gotten to a point where even though I don't like things to end sometimes, I've been more willing to let certain relationships that are clearly like marching out go, because like you were saying, Leah, just if we're not there, it's okay. I think when we're growing up, everyone I knew is, I'd introduce them as my best friend. It's my best friend. I just met this person at the park, but they're my best friend. And then I think as I've gotten older, just really kind of reserving that title for certain people. But like, you know, until that's challenged, you don't really see what it might have been based off of. And I think I have found that as I've gotten older, I've just realized the blessing in seeing where and being more open to just seeing where we're really at. And that's okay. There are more friends if I need to make them. And just the quality of the relationships are changing when I do make new friends. Like I don't make a lot of new friends, I would say, but there are some. And I think they really, I'm more not so quick to jump into a relationship, you know, even a friendship, maybe especially a friendship, because it's very intimate to me. You know, it's an exchange of the heart that I think is really sacred, and not everyone earns that, you know, and I would want to earn that with people too. So I think it just takes more time, and when those things change, holding love and space for people's humanity and the goodness that we all are, but just maybe changing the dynamics of the way we relate to each other.
We didn't have Sahajo and Angie for recording with us here today, but we would really like to hear what Sahajo and Angie have to say about this.
I never see, and actually my kids tease me, it's like I never see that like friends have just like ended. Like I feel that anybody of like the people I used to hang out with, if they would come and they would call me, it's like, can we meet? I would be so thrilled. Like I feel it's not that the friendship has ended, it's just like I haven't seen them in a while. When a friendship has ended, the few people that I have in my life where I feel like, yeah, this is, you know, this is not a friendship anymore. It is more regarding values, you know, like there were certain things that for me were super important that I could see that for them was just very different. Just something that I can't, you know, I just can't have a relationship with someone that feels that way. And you know, maybe I've been thinking about this. I'm like, oh, maybe, you know, maybe I could disagree so much with someone and still be their friend. I don't know. It just feels to me, it feels weird. It feels like I'm betraying myself in a way if I did that. And these are things that are very important to me. So like, for example, I know like someone who crossed the line and, you know, put my kids' faces on TV without asking me, right? And this is regarding our situation where, you know, we were all friends and then decided to, you know, post some footage of me and my children, and when I saw myself, I was like, you know, whatever, we'll deal with it. But when I saw my children on the screen, I was like, you know, without her asking me if I was okay with it, that felt like a betrayal, as you were saying. You know, that felt like there was a violation of my privacy and, you know, the safety of my children, and that I was like, this is not okay for me. So although I don't feel ill will by any means towards this person at all, and for me, that's, you know, that's when the friendship ends. It's like, okay, well, this is something that I, you know, this crossed the line for me within my values, and that's that.
So I think there's friendships fizzling out because of changes in values or life paths or interests or things like, or distance or things like that. But really, like ending a friendship, I feel like if there's a big enough disagreement of something that's important enough to one or both people, you know, if it's something where the, you know, and I'm not talking about I like rock music and I like country music, you know, this is like, I think you can get along with that. But so yeah, I think, you know, that if there's a big enough conflict or disagreement of a strong enough belief or value or something like that, that could end a friendship. So like, and or like a betrayal, you know, like a feeling of betrayal, like someone crossed the line and did something that was, you know, so damaging and so painful and so hurtful that, you know, it would take a lot to kind of fix that or heal that. With that said, I also, you know, I think about friends that our friendship has ended. I also feel like there's always like a open door for them. You know, if I for me personally, I don't think I don't know. I haven't had the experience where I'm like, I never want to see this person ever again or wish them harm or anything like that. It's more like goodbye, you know, see you, have a good life and goodbye. But I also think if the opportunity came and you know, in the future they would reach out or I saw them or something like that, I would always be open to reconsider or you know, see if maybe there was a disagreement or a miscommunication that can be healed or fixed or mended. But yeah, I think, I mean, it's an interesting, you know, it's something I spend a lot of time just thinking of anyway with friendship, because, you know, there are different degrees of friendships and, you know, who do we spend our time with and why do we spend our time with them? And, or even if it's not our time, our thoughts, our resources, or energy, or, you know, whatever it is. And it is, you know, I think it's a constant evaluation with every person, every relationship we have, you know, how much of a friend are they or not, you know, and it's not I don't think there's a cut and dry formula where it's like you do X, Y, and Z and then you're like this much of a friend, you know, it's very complex and it changes. And I think friendships change and the intensity and the closeness and the intimacy of friendship, you know, are constantly changing. And, you know, with any friendship dynamic, it has a life of its own and it takes two.
Yeah.
So it depends totally on both sides and, you know, how much are they willing to work on that thing or not work on it? How much are their values in line or not? How much, you know, are they, because it's, you know, I have friends where there's things that we disagree on that are pretty big, but I still like them and we're still friends and, you know, that's okay. And then there's other friends where we have things and I'm like, no, that's not okay. So it's an interesting, you know, question.
Reminder, just if you like this and what we're doing, please like, share, comment, and till next time, take care.